Hey everyone, this is Kumar, and today's topic is driving formulation breakthroughs with PLM data. In the CPG industry, innovation speed isn't just a competitive advantage, it's survival. Markets move faster than your R&D cycle, supply chains shift overnight, regulations change mid-launch. And yet, most organizations are sitting on the very data that could make them faster, smarter, and more resilient. I'm talking about your product lifecycle management system, your PLM. For many companies, PLM is treated as a compliance vault, a record of what's been approved, what's been signed off. But top performers, for them, it's not just a record, it's an engine. Today, I'm going to show you how to turn your PLM into that engine, a system that doesn't just document the past, but actively shapes your future formulations and accelerates your innovation pipeline. Now, let's start with the executive imperative. If you're a CPG executive, the questions on your mind are clear, right? How do I reduce time to market without sacrificing compliance? How do I reformulate quickly in response to ingredient shortages, cost shocks, or regulatory changes? How do I unlock growth opportunities hidden in my existing portfolio? The answer lies in using your PLM as a living analytical foundation, not just a repository. When you connect, clean, and activate your PLM data, you create the conditions for a fundamentally different kind of R&D, one that is adaptive, predictive, and continuously learning. Now, let's start with the foundational data sets for R&D formulations. So there are 4 foundational data sets. Every successful formulation breakthrough rests on these 4 core data sets, and they're already inside your PLM. First, material specifications. These are your raw ingredients, their physical and chemical properties, supplier approvals, and cost profiles. Second, formulation specifications. These are your recipes, ingredient quantities, yields, and processing instructions. Third, finished product specifications. This is the composition, the nutritional panel, sensory and organoleptic targets. And fourth, regulatory rules, market-specific limits, banned substances, allergen declarations, and labeling requirements. Individually, each of these data sets is valuable. Together, when linked and structured, they form a complete digital model of your product space, past, present, and potential. So now, what are we looking here? We're going from a siloed records to an R&D optimization data mart. The challenge is that these data sets are usually siloed within your PLM's object structure. They're hard to query holistically. The solution is to extract and integrate them into an R&D optimization data mart, a purpose-built analytical environment. Here, every ingredient is linked to every formulation, every cost driver, every process parameter, and every regulatory constraint. For business leaders, this means every decision is grounded in the full economic, operational, and compliance context. For technical leaders, it means a clean star schema with fact tables for formulations, costs, processes, quality results, and constraints, all dimensioned by ingredient, market, product, supplier, and plant. This is the point where PLM stops being a passive archive and becomes an active design space. Activating the data with active learning experimentation. Once the data is connected, you can bring in active learning experimentation. Instead of designing a static experiment plan at the start of the project, you let the system learn as you go. Here's how it works. You start with your current data mart snapshot, which is formulations, constraints, and objectives. You run AI-driven optimization. Bayesian methods are especially powerful here to generate candidate formulations that respect hard constraints and trade off your objectives intelligently. You select a small subset to trial in the lab or pilot plant. You capture the results, sensory, analytical stability, and feed them back into the model. The model updates its understanding of the design space, recalibrates its predictions, and proposes the next best set of candidates. This cycle continues until you converge on a winning formula. It's a closed-loop learning process that systematically reduces uncertainty and increases the probability of success with every round. Now, let's talk about this. Why does this change the game? This approach compresses timelines dramatically. A formulation cycle that used to take 9 to 12 months can be reduced to 4 to 6, sometimes even faster. It lets you explore regions of the design space that would be impossible to cover with traditional sequential testing. It creates agility, the ability to pivot mid-project when the market changes. And critically, it embeds compliance into the design process so you never waste cycles on ideas that can't be launched in your target markets. Next, let's talk about integration. That's the practical enabler. Of course, to do this, you need to move data between your PLM and your analytics or your AI environment. There are multiple ways to integrate, from real-time APIs for instantaneous updates to secure SFTP file transfers for scheduled batch refreshes, to pre-built connectors or ETL pipelines for more complex transformations. The choice depends on your IT architecture, your latency requirements, and your governance model. What matters is that integration is automated, reliable, and designed for scale, because your innovation engine is only as good as the freshness and completeness of the data it runs on. So now let's take a few minutes on what's the business impact when this happens. I've seen organizations use this approach to turn regulatory challenges into market opportunities, reformulating in weeks for compliance, and then leveraging the new product to launch in new segments. I've seen cost pressures flipped into profitability gains, substituting lower cost ingredients without compromising quality, identified by the optimizer rather than by trial and error guesswork. And I've seen teams that used to work in functional silos suddenly collaborating around a single version of truth, with shared visibility into both technical and business outcomes. So what's the call to action? Your PLM already holds the blueprint for your next breakthrough. The difference between those who lead and those who lag will be whether they can activate that blueprint into a living learning system. For business leaders, this is a call to reimagine your innovation process as data-driven, adaptive, and strategically aligned. For technical leaders, it's an opportunity to architect a foundation that will support not just the next launch, but a continuous stream of market-ready innovations. The next winning recipe isn't hiding in the market, it's hiding in your own data. Question is, will you find it before your competitors do? If you have any questions, do comment. Would love to chat. Thank you.